Update. Am I the a-hole for not letting my friends use my backyard for their wedding because they do not want me to bring a +1? Original post. Here is the situation. Last summer, I bought my grandparents' house. This house was the hangout spot for my friends and me throughout our childhood. This includes my friend Dave. The house has a sizable amount of land, which includes a lake and a gazebo. I was supposed to buy the house with my now ex-girlfriend, Leslie. But during the process of getting approved, I found out she had massive amounts of credit card and personal debt that she had hidden from me throughout our 4 years together. As a result, I decided to break up with her. That was about 6 months ago. I met Leslie because Dave's long-term girlfriend Kim is Leslie's cousin. Dave and Kim are engaged and set to get married in April. When I was buying the house, they asked if they could have the ceremony at the gazebo, and I agreed. In December, I started dating again. Leslie has not taken this well at all. She thinks we are going to get back together and has tried multiple times to make that happen. I have told her in no uncertain terms that isn't happening. Dave and Kim have now asked me not to bring a +1 to the wedding for Leslie's sake. I told them that this request is ridiculous. This wedding is happening at my house, on my land, and I am not allowed to bring a date because of a crazy ex. If that's the case, then they need to find a new venue for the wedding. They are mad about this, given the short time frame before the wedding. So we are at an impasse. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I've seen a few things brought up in the comments multiple times, so I'll quickly address them here. 1. Liability issues. I am fully aware of the liability risks, which is why I purchased, and they reimbursed me for, a special event insurance policy that provides 100% coverage for any damages, claims, injuries, etc., up to $2 million. This was one of the first things we did after I agreed to host the event at my home. 2. Guest size and facilities. The wedding will have a maximum of 75 guests, plus 5 catering staff and 5 security staff. Security is necessary because it's an open area that anyone walking past can access. The house has hosted events twice this size, and logistically, it has been fine. The property has 2 cottages, one with 1 bathroom and the other with 2 bathrooms. The only portion of my house that will remain unlocked during the wedding is the finished basement, which has 2 additional bathrooms. 3. The +1 situation. Every single guest who is not in an established relationship received an invitation with a +1, including both me and Leslie. This conversation only came up after I sent in my RSVP and indicated that I would be bringing a +1. Now, they are saying they don't want me to bring a date because Leslie blew up about it, and they are afraid of a scene at the wedding. 4. Leslie has also indicated she intends to bring a +1. I have no idea if she actually will, but she put it down on her RSVP. Now for the top comments before reading the update. They want to tell you who you can have at your own home and think it is fine. They're nuts. If they want to dictate guest rules, they should pay for a venue. He is being generous, and they're being entitled. Yeah, he is offering them a free wedding venue, and they're trying to control his personal life in return? That's not how favors work. Pull an Uno reverse. Tell them Leslie isn't allowed on your property and watch their heads explode. The petty part of me did absolutely consider saying, well, Leslie cannot come to my house or on my land, so it shouldn't be a problem. My younger self would have said, F that, it's my property, and I'll bring a date. Or you can hold your wedding at the local VFW for all I care. My older, more thoughtful self says, Dave, you're my friend, and I don't want to ruin you and your fiancé's day. Since you want Leslie at the wedding, I won't bring a date out of respect for you. If she brings someone, fine. Yes, it's crappy for Dave and Kim to make that demand, but it's also crappy to pull the rug out from under them this late in the game. Couples planning a wedding can get a little crazy, dealing with thousands of details and having to navigate/prevent potential drama between family members and friends. It's super stressful. I definitely sympathize with how you're feeling. But if it were me, I'd swallow my pride and just let them have their day, especially if Dave's friendship is important to you. Interesting. A younger version of me would have let them do whatever they wanted and given in to every demand. But that is no longer my view on the matter. Dave's friendship does matter to me, but he is effectively giving me the middle finger as I see it. Over the last 6 months, I have put up with all types of nonsense due to Leslie. While most people don't know all the details of what I've endured, Dave does. As a result, I have taken all kinds of nonsense from virtually everyone on the wedding guest list. People begging or pleading with me to take Leslie back or some combination of both. I simply want to have someone there so I don't have to deal with the constant nonsense, lies, manipulations, etc. that have defined my interactions with these people. Dave doesn't care about that. So, it leaves me wondering, does he actually care about me? If the last 6 months had not been what they were, I might feel differently. But I have bent over backward to avoid making things difficult for Leslie. I simply cannot give in anymore. I am done. Now for the update. So, I met with Dave this morning. We talked for almost 2 hours about everything. I laid it out that I thought he was, at best, a crappy friend. I went through our long history of various incidents over the years that have made me question our friendship. That was the bulk of our conversation. Then we turned to the breakup with Leslie and the crap show of the last 6 months. Despite Leslie's craziness, I have bent over backward to try and accommodate her feelings. She has shown up at my house in the middle of the night, yet I did not go for a restraining order. When I go out, I avoid places I know she and her family frequent. She has implied to her family and mutual friends at various times that I cheated and/or that I took advantage of her financially, neither of which is true at all. I have held my tongue to avoid embarrassing her in front of her friends and family. Dave knows all of this, yet, once again, he is demanding that I put Leslie's feelings before my own. I said, "You and everyone else need to stop coddling her like she's a freaking child." Dave admitted that Leslie has been crazy and ridiculous since the breakup, but he said she feels she didn't get closure after the relationship. She wants to have an evening where she can talk to you to get that closure. He also told me that Leslie has been very vigilant about paying off her debt and has paid off almost $10,000 of her credit card debt. She wants to talk to me about her progress, to see if that might cause me to change my mind. It will not. I asked him, "So, do you expect me to go to the wedding and talk to her? Because I have her blocked everywhere, and date or not, I do not plan to say a single mumbling word to her." He said, "I fully expect she would lose it if y'all don't talk at the wedding." I told him, if that's the case, then for the good of my property, I can't have Leslie come. If she is so unstable that I need to be coerced into a conversation with her, then she is too unsafe to be a guest in any capacity at my home. So, I told him, based on what he just told me, Leslie cannot come to my house or onto my land. I am still willing to host the wedding, but I cannot trust that Leslie won't do something based on what he is saying. Dave lost it at this point. He yelled, "F you and your I don't need it." So I said, "Then the wedding is off." He left. So that's the state of things. To add, the day of the wedding is not the time to get closure, and at the wedding is not the place to get closure. Your friends are okay with her hijacking their ceremony so she can sleep better at night? Yeah, that would be a big not happening, any of it, from me. It sounds like they're prioritizing Leslie's feelings over your rights as the homeowner. Sounds like they're prioritizing her feelings over having a calm wedding and reception. They expect it to stay calm because they expect OP to fall in line with whatever get-back-together plan Leslie is hatching. It's nice for her that she's paying off her debt, but she's still a liar and obviously manipulative. I'd refund Dave for what he spent on the event insurance, then host my own party on that date at my home, a people who don't want to hang out with Leslie party. I bet there'd be a massive turnout. Well, I think one of your key takeaways from this is that you need to start living your life. Stop avoiding places you normally go to. Clarify to people why you broke up, that it wasn't because you cheated, and put together any evidence of her crazy behavior so you can get a restraining order if needed. You also need to tell people why the wedding isn't happening at your place because you know they're going to make you out to be the bad guy. This times 100. OP, there's no need for you to keep doing what you're doing. The whole group, including parents, needs all the details about what happened and what is still happening. If she shows up at your house again, call the police and have her trespassed. Too bad about Dave. He sounds like a big a-hole. You are better off without him in your life. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to switch seats on a plane even though a mom started crying? So, I, 27 male, was on a long-haul flight, about 10 hours, and I had booked a window seat months in advance. I get motion sickness, and having a window helps a lot. Plus, I was planning to sleep for most of the flight. When I got to my seat, a woman, maybe mid-30s, was sitting there with her baby on her lap. I politely told her that she was in my seat, and she, immediately, looked uncomfortable. She said she thought it would be okay since she wanted to sit with her husband, who was in the middle seat next to her. I asked where her original seat was. It turned out she was supposed to be in the middle seat of the row behind us. She asked if I could just take her seat so she could sit with her husband and baby. I glanced back and saw that her seat was squeezed between two big guys, and I already knew that wasn't going to work for me. I apologized and told her that I really preferred to keep my assigned seat. She kept insisting, saying, "It's just a seat," and "I'm a mother traveling with a baby." The husband wasn't really saying anything, just giving me a guilty look. A flight attendant came over because she was getting upset, and when I explained the situation, the attendant told her she had to sit in her assigned seat if I wasn't willing to switch. Then she started crying. Not full-on sobbing, but she looked really frustrated and kept shaking her head like I was some kind of monster. I felt bad, but at the same time, I had paid for this seat and specifically booked it early. The guy next to me whispered, "Good for you, man. People always try to pull this." After takeoff, I put my headphones in and tried to sleep, but I could feel the people behind me glaring. When we landed, the husband mumbled, "Must be nice to have no empathy," as I grabbed my bag. Am I the a-hole for not giving up my seat? Now for the top comments. I don't even need to read your post. Whenever anyone wants to keep their assigned seat, they are not the a-hole. I've never understood this whole concept. If I can't find the seat I need on a flight, I don't buy it and check other flights. Pretty straightforward. Exactly. The only a-holes are the ones who expect someone to switch with them. You're not the a-hole for asking, but you are for sulking when rejected. Not the a-hole. I'm a frequent flyer. Fly round trip like 6 times a year. And when that person said, "People always try to pull this," he was not lying. Someone else's poor planning is not your responsibility. On top of that, why didn't the husband man up and take the kid for part of the flight? Yeah, not gonna lie. I can't help but wonder if it wasn't that the husband bought the plane tickets cheaper this way and said, "Don't worry, honey. No one's gonna tell a mom with a baby they won't switch seats." Dad here that just bought plane tickets. Damn right, I paid more to select the seats for my family, so we weren't spread around the plane in middle seats. Yeah, it sucks that the advertised price doesn't come with seat selection and picking a seat is 20% more or whatever, but you have to suck it up and pick the upgrade. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to be a prisoner to motherhood after my divorce? I, 32 female, recently separated from my ex-husband, 33 male, after years of feeling like I was disappearing. I was a wife, I was a mom, but me? I didn't exist anymore. My entire life revolved around my marriage and our 3 kids, 13, 5, and almost 2. I love my children more than anything, and I have them the majority of the time. When they're with me, I give them everything. Homework, bedtime stories, family outings. And for the first time in years, I actually feel present, instead of trapped in a dark hole of exhaustion and self-hate. But on the rare days or weeks they're with their dad, I finally have a moment to breathe. I've been using that time to do things I never got to do when I was married. Hiking in the mountains, camping under the stars, going to concerts, making friends, playing my games, and watching my movies. I'm figuring out who I am outside of just mom. And now my ex is losing his mind over it. He says I'm abandoning our kids and being selfish. He's running around telling mutual friends and family that I care more about having an adventure than being a mother. Apparently, because I go on overnight camping trips, I'm irresponsible. What does he expect me to do? Sit in an empty house, staring at the walls, waiting for my kids to come back? For context, during our marriage, he had plenty of hobbies: late-night gaming, concerts, nights out with friends, and even a planned Vegas trip with his coworkers. He never once questioned whether he was abandoning his family. But now that I'm doing something for myself, suddenly I'm the villain? I feel like I'm being a good mom by taking care of my mental health and showing my kids that life doesn't end when things get hard. But his words are starting to get to me. So, am I the a-hole for finally choosing me for once? Editing to answer some questions. 1. Was my ex abusive? Yes. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I couldn't go to the store without him. He had to go to the gym with me to keep an eye on me, and he kept my credit cards in his wallet for his use only. If I needed anything, clothes, shampoo, undergarments, he told me I was wasting his money. Any money I did make from side jobs was his money. 2. Did he ever want to do things together? No. If I asked to go do anything, he would make the entire day miserable, either by tearing me down until I wanted to disappear, or by messing with the kids so they would be miserable, which in turn made me miserable. 3. How did I finally leave? By the time I was able to leave him, I was wishing a car would hit me so I wouldn't have to deal with it anymore, because I thought there was no way out. My cousin came and picked me and my kids up and took us to Tennessee so I could reset. When I didn't feel like dying anymore, we took a road trip back home, which helped clear my head even more. By the time we got back, I was able to move out, even with him screaming at me. Why does he even know what you do when the kids aren't there? It's none of his business. His sisters and our daughter stalk my Instagram, and I can't figure out which follower it is. I blocked their main accounts. Change your settings to private then. Also, take this to a family judge and tell them you wish to give up majority custody for 50-50 time. You're not a bad mom for wanting some you time. He's only whining because now he actually has to be responsible and take care of his kids. You deserve time to hang out with friends and pursue your hobbies when you're not mothering. Your kids will see the difference too. They can tell when mom isn't happy. It is private, and I wouldn't trust him to have them more than he already does. He doesn't even pay attention to school holidays. He just asked me if the kids have school today. What does he do when you have the kids? Lives the life of a hermit monk? He still goes out and does everything he did when we were together. Even when he has the kids, his mom watches them so he can continue to do the things he was already doing. Tell everyone that piece of info and ask if they still think you are a bad parent. He is just jealous you have a life now. He probably wonders why you are divorced, lol. Oh, he does, and also blames me for everything.